Hi, welcome to Family Sense. Family Sense is dedicated to equipping every man, every woman, every husband, every wife with practical wisdom on family and marriage, especially in these toughest times. This is a production of No Regrets Communication, a division of Hope Education Network. Should you have any questions or need any information, please feel free to contact us on 0772 518 554. You can also contact us on 0754 734 738. You can also email us on noregrets@counselor.com. Right now, join in for insights from today's session. God bless you.
So what are those barriers to being properly rewarded? And the first thing is ignorance. Okay? So what is ignorance? Ignorance is being uninformed or having the wrong knowledge about how to get your reward from work or even what you should be rewarded with. So you just do not know, or that what the information you have is wrong. And I would like us to go back a bit to that man, Jacob. In his father's household, when he went to his uncle's household in Genesis chapter 29. And I will read from 15 and then connect it to 16. We are saying, it says, verse 15, that after Jacob had stayed with him for a whole month, okay, Laban said to him, just because you're a relative of mine, should you work for me for nothing? Tell me your wages. Tell me your what? Wages. And what do we see Jacob doing? Verse 16. Now Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the older was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah had weak eyes, but Rachel was lovely in form and beautiful. Jacob was in love with Rachel and said, I will work for you 7 years in return for your younger daughter, Rachel. Do we see Jacob first looking in the sky? Do we see Jacob saying, Uncle Laban, whatever you feel like? How many times do we say that? There are so many times when I have asked someone and said, okay, how much are you charging me for this work? And they say, Madam, chono olaba. You know? And I hate that response because it puts me in a what? In a difficult place. Now you want to say that I'm unfair. Okay? But I also used to be one of those. You know? I also used to be exactly like that. What is your salary? What are they paying people of my... What? Or what is the monthly rent for this place? What is the rent? What is the other one charging for a house this size? And what is the other one? What is your school fees? What school fees? How much school fees are you charging? What is the other neighboring school? They look a bit like me. What are they charging? And the other one, so if I do average, we should be okay. And we are saying there must be a basis for rewards. Do not be ignorant. Because if you're ignorant or if we are poorly informed about what we should be rewarded with, we will not get it. You will not get the right reward. You may get something, but it will not be what you should be getting. So we must remove ignorance and be informed. It is our responsibility. Because if you leave it to someone else, our tendency is to advantage ourselves. I will state a reward according to what is comfortable and advantageous to me. We have a tendency to be selfish. So what is the right way to obtain a reward? It is our responsibility, each one of us here, as you're doing your systems of work, it is your responsibility to know what reward should be due to you. Jacob was very clear. He had spotted, he had seen, he knew in his head. He had probably been wondering how to state that reward all along. Now the opportunity came, okay? And he stated it, all right? Let's, and let's go on a bit to, I will also look briefly at chapter 30, verse 25. Chapter 30, yes, verse 25. And I will read it quickly up to 33. That after Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me on my way so that I can go back to my own homeland. Give me my wives and children for whom I have served you, and I will be on my way. You know how much work I have done for you." But Laban said to him, "If I have found favor in your eyes, please stay. I have learned by divination that the Lord has blessed me because of you." He added your name. He added, "Name your wages, and I will repay." The other wage was no longer relevant. Was the wage of Rachel still relevant? He had already attained that. So it means now he had just been, either paying debts or, it was time to state a new wage. When is it time for you to state a new wage? And again, we see this man, Jacob. He said to him, he didn't say, "Please let me think on it, Uncle Laban. Please let me seek God about it for a week in prayer and fasting, Uncle Laban." He said, "You know how I worked for you and how your livestock has fared under my care. The little you had before I came has increased greatly," and so on. 31, "What shall I give you?" he added. Jacob said, "Don't give me anything, but if you will do this one thing for me, I will go on tending your flocks and watching over them. Let me go through all your flocks today and remove from them every speckled or spotted sheep, every dark-colored lamb, and every spotted or speckled goat. They will be my wages." See a man who is not looking in the sky. He is clear. He had thought about these things. He had thought about it. And it's easy to reward a person that's not ignorant, isn't it? Because the uncle also accepted. All right? So let us remove the tendency of ignorance from ourselves. But what is the other barrier to being rewarded properly? The other one is foolishness. Yes, that word is not nice. And when every time I tell my son, "You're doing a foolish thing," they will say, "Mommy, it is bad manners to abuse. You tell us not to abuse. Now you're saying a bad word." But it is describing a what? A behavior. That what you're doing is foolish. Okay? Not acting on the knowledge you have. You have the knowledge, but you are not doing it. Just as we shall be called foolish if we keep coming here again and again and do nothing about what we are hearing. Okay? So, foolishness, not knowing what to do, but you don't do it because you're afraid. How should I ask for this? What will they think of me? All that comes in also because we are a bit ignorant. We don't know how to state, if I say this, what will they think of me? Will they not say, now I am greedy, or maybe they will even chase me away or something. And, we are afraid. And at the end of the day, you see people working, but they are resentful, and they begin cheating, and they begin complaining, and they begin grumbling. And that is not the right spirit within which to work. It is not the right attitude. So let us get rid of foolishness. But there is still another barrier to getting rewarded properly, and that is exploitation. Exploitation is when someone is too weak and willing to desperately accept anything when we are in a bad state. So you say, "Oh, Wang, if I let this one go, when will the next chance come?" And we are afraid. Sometimes it comes from not knowing your true value not knowing your true worth. But the other time, it's just having gone through hard times. Things have been hard, things have been difficult to come across, and therefore an opportunity comes. And even though it is really exploitative and beneath what someone's true rewards should be, we take it because we are desperate. And that desperation must be driven out. And I think it's sometimes people will be desperate, but as visionaries here who know the will of God, who are doing good work for a purpose, it is our role to also ensure that we are not exploiting. Yes, people who are desperate will show up. They will be there. It is our role to make sure they understand and that we do not exploit. And this is also a very common tendency in our homes, even in the churches, everywhere. People are being exploited. And the other thing is slavery. Slavery is subject to the will of another person. The other person decides. Someone has no control over, even not, they have to do the work. They have no control over the reward, whether someone wants to give them or not. They are just a slave. And this is not the will of God anyway. They do not have the voice to decide for themselves. And this is not the position that God wants in us. And we must avoid, as good visionaries, putting these people in this position, making them slaves, making them slaves. In churches, this happens. In offices, this happens. I've got a friend who went in one of those countries to work, and they decide when they feel like what? Paying. But as she was cleaning, the big screen fell and broke. And it wasn't her fault, But from then on, they've decided they are not paying. And she has no one to run to. And she left her children and family. That is having no voice. It's gone from exploitation to slavery. And we, by not doing what is right, we are pushing each other into these positions, and that is not the will of God. So these barriers stop people from getting the true rewards. And these barriers we must decrease and remove among ourselves. And we are here in Family Sense to see how this happens. This is the journey we are going to be looking at this year, to make sure we are not ignorant, to make sure we are not foolish, we are not exploitative or exploited, and we are not slaves or putting others into slavery. Thank you very much. Mr. Mwesigwa, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. Members, I'm lost of where to begin from and where not to do, because what else can I add in there? What else? What can I add in there? So a hand clap for her. Glory be to God. Now let me talk about Mrs. Kayondo. Because it is very serious. Why Hotel Africana? Why are we here? We could have been anywhere else. But why are we here? That's very important for us to know. Maybe I might ask you another question. How many conferences have sat here to promote homosexuality here in this hotel in Uganda? So many of these things we are struggling with out there. The people sit and discuss. How can we have this agenda and be firmly established here in Uganda? They are done here. And in hotels all around. But yes, you understand? they sit and discuss like we are sitting here. How can we deal with it? How can we now reduce them to think the way we want? People sit. So it is very deliberate. How together? Very what? To get there. If people set up altars of evil in place, so we say, okay, let us sit and deal with these matters. And I was offended some 2 weeks ago when somebody was told that there is something in family sense which comes here. And then somebody took me aside and said, hey, who funds you? I was just diplomatic and say, well, God, by God's grace, he supplies the requirements, but from Uganda here. I had also to be nice and good for him, but I said, come on. So it means you have to look for someone from wherever to fund you up. And how many things have we accepted which we know are wrong, and we have turned ourselves to be exploited in this country? We turn out being slaves. We say, okay, if you don't want, we cut off funding. How many things have we accepted and we know they are wrong as a nation?
Remember that you're engaged in a family sense gathering, which is dedicated to equipping every man, every woman, every husband, every wife with practical wisdom on family and marriage. I hope you're enjoying yourself.
How many things have we accepted and we know they are wrong as a nation? And we are too weak or too desperate to take on certain fundings. And we accept. And must we allow that to continue? So, why African? There must be very serious agenda here. I'm being a little more straight here on these matters. I wish Mrs. Kayondo you could come and add just something here to include some little piece which is on your phone right now. I don't know how we can put it here. But as we deal with this, I know she prepares this. I would like us to talk about these things more seriously. Agenda, all kinds of agenda are set in this country. And please, let's not blame government. And I'm not even a government agent. I have and I don't even belong to the NRM. Neither do I belong to FDC. Neither do I belong to DP. I know all of those things there, but I belong to a party. You know the party, and I want to encourage you to get in part. Okay? You read for us in Joshua chapter 5. I think verse 13 or 14 or 15 there. So that we set a very clear foundation.
Joshua chapter 5, verse 13.
13, 14, 15, there around there.
All right. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted up his eyes and looked. And behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, are you for us or for our adversaries? Verse 14. And he said, no, but as the captain of the host of the Lord am I come.
Thank you. What is he saying? Are you for NRM or are you for FDC? Are you for NUP or are you for... To the point to the if I am wearing greens, then I appear to be one of DP, right? Yes. If you wear blue, these colors were there even before all these political parties came through. But we are now beginning to lose ourselves and lose direction for our children and grandchildren. We are lost in things which we should not even be part of. and we are tearing each other into pieces, what will your grandchild find? It's the question I want to challenge everyone here to think. What will your child, when he grows to your age, find? It's a good question to ask. When they get to your age, what will they find? So when we get together here, yes, I know it is not cheap, but it's a resolve we have made. And we don't beg. We don't do what? Yes. We don't talk about, system of work, then we go and sleep. We actually work. Because the instruction from the very beginning, don't beg. That was given 1999. Don't beg. And we've never begged. But by God's grace, we've been able to see He grants opportunities to serve in places even unexpected. And we deal with things, and we continue going together. And I say it is possible. Amen. It is possible. There is enough in this nation. If only we changed our perspective and our attitudes and our manners, our patterns of life, things can be different. Altogether. So in the year 217, when we say this thing has to be taken to where it belongs, when God told us it must be taken, and we're making a decision, we're wondering how. And when we mentioned in our little team discussing, next, I passed by Hotel Africana. We must start next month. That was that woman I'm talking about. She just rose up to go, came here, booked. I have already booked. And if we thought that we were not yet ready, for her she had taken us very far. And could we stop? And that's why we are here today. So God bless her. God bless you. She had already run all over and nobody gave her fuel or anything. No, she just went. And that was it. She knew her role and that's why we are here. It's the reason. Probably she just pushed. She's very dangerous. Huh? Isn't it? To the glory of God. Thank you. So clap for her again. I wanted to mention that. And you see, there are things that have happened in this country. And I have been adult enough all through the years. Some might be young. I will excuse Mercy for some, and some people here for some reason. But there are things that have happened in this country. Okay? So I hope I have answered why Hotel what? Africana. These things which are now on the floor of Parliament, they are becoming more and more prominent. And they are real. They begin underground. And then they show their heads up, unashamed. And they are entering there. It is real in schools. It is real. It's not even a hearsay, but it has been built deliberately. And should we just sit and fold our hands? And say they have a lot of money. Where do they get from? They work. And they work for their agenda. And the man stood and said, whom are you for? Where do you belong? And he said, what did he say? Neither. I belong to none of your things. I have an agenda further than what? The earthly agenda. I am here to stand for the Lord. I am here on God's agenda. Can we stand on God's agenda? Beyond the colors of our skins and the colors of our parties and all those things. They exceed. And sometimes when we talk about these things, you begin to appear, even when you see something wrong and you talk about it, and it is in FDC, they say for you are for NRM. Or if it is in NUP, you say for you are an adversary. When you talk about something wrong in the NRM, you say, for you are for opposition. That is foolishness. I can't limit myself to that. We had better exceed that. We have children. We have grandchildren before us. And we can't subject them to such things. We must exceed that. We must look further than what we are seeing today. And the nation is disintegrating. The nation is being broken, and we don't realize that. Yes, some efforts have been given. They have been invested. If you see that list, it is a list. I just created it right here as I recalled them. But I know that was the chronology of those agenda there. Agenda number 1, who has ever heard about PEAP? Poverty Eradication Action Plan. That was the first economic program of the Museveni administration. I'm very careful to say Museveni what? Administration. Because government exceeds Museveni. Please, let us be serious on that one. There has always been a government of Uganda beyond persons. And to me, it exceeds that. And I speak that with firmness of my spirit. I don't care how many even spies can be here. I know the agenda I move by. I choose to look at the agenda of the Lord. Altogether. But that was the first economic program brought by the NRM government. I appreciate it. Now, when it didn't work out, it didn't produce the so-called results expected. It was changed in name, Poverty Action Plan, Poverty Alleviation Plan, PAP. You can do your own research to confirm or to disprove that. Next, when things didn't work out, but you know, when they are being initiated, they look very what? Exciting, very what? Funding and all those things, they come. They come. Next, what do you have? Entandikwa. Now that he was a common word, entandikwa. People should receive what? Entandikwa, entandikwa, entandikwa. And people received, of course, this is free government money. Why do I just get it? And then people can't explain. People received the money. They can't explain where it went. Okay? And we're not initiating political rallies here. We are getting to the things and why. It gives us the what. Then there was Bonaba Gaggawale. And you know, these things they get all the funding, and all those things. The youth livelihood what? It comes. By the way, a lot of money put in there, and people, you know, allowances they do, and people kugagawala and whatever, and then they actually lose what they have kugagawala in and all those. And we are just moving in circles and circles and circles, and that's what do we have? Operation Wealth what? Creation. And again it comes. Then next we are having a myoga. And then next now we have what? PDM. It is all. And we are moving and we are moving. And let me tell you, there are two kinds of people involved in all these things, and all of us. Okay? There are those who maybe seek a truly good intention, but they don't know how. But they don't do what? They don't know how. But then there are also those who say, yes, yeah. They are ready to pounce on anything in per diem, in whatever allowance, whichever kickback, whatever kick forward, and everything else. And those are the majority in these programs. And almost 80% of that money goes to. But there are some who are truly seeking good intention. And let me tell you something. The solution, whether you look this way or this way, begins with the family. If you don't sort out the family, if you don't build this thing from a foundation of a family, nothing can hold together. Nothing. Economy is not built at national level. It is built at family level. Then it aggregates to a what? A community economy. Then it aggregates to a what? A national economy. So if the family is not equipped with the soundness of what they need to do and how they can get out and established a strong family economic understanding at family level, we shall keep rotating around and around and around and get to nowhere. And that's not good for us. And Mrs. Kayondo has so ably explained to us and showed how God's original message on matters of economy. He gives all the resources and he says, there you are. Use them. Work with them. I've given you everything. And if you don't use them, resources never stay unused. Someone else will use them. And you'll even sign contracts for 99-year lease for Chirembe Mines. To who? We get some royalties, okay? So we get them from here, take them elsewhere. And that's what happens. And I want to say something. Don't wait for the multitudes to show up. Don't wait for another to do it. Who is going to do that? Who? Me. You. Not anybody else. You are the one. Don't wait. And the battle we always have, first and foremost, we despise ourselves. And there, we have been mastered in that angle. And that thinker is planted through the times as we grow up. You actually told you belong to the poor countries. Is that so? And it is planted from the time even when David is that young. He said, Uganda is a poor country. Uganda is and it is nailed into your mind so much. And then somebody comes and actually takes away the resources. You remember we talked about exploitation? And tells you how poor you are. That must be challenged. And then somebody tells you, by the way, you belong to the third world. But I want to ask a question. How many worlds did God create? One. So where does third world and whatever other worlds come from? Now when it is nailed in somebody's mind through the years and keeps building up, the only thing we realize that we can only do something if we get a funder from where, and everything is available here. If only we looked at them with God's true eyes.
Family Sense is on a mission of teaching God's truth for reforming marriages and building families throughout the nation. Stability of our nation can only be realized with well-founded families and marriages. We therefore invite you to engage in Family Sense gatherings. Should you have any questions or need specific assistance, please feel free to contact us on 0772 518 554 or 0754 73 4738. You can also email us on noregrets@counselor.com. God bless you. We look forward to seeing you next time.